things first, you'll want to print out 2 copies of these half plumb bobs, and I've just printed them onto A4 paper. You'll also need some double-sided sticky tape or some glue, some scissors, card, and a pencil. I didn't end up using the normal sellotape. Make sure your plumb bob halves fit onto the card that you want to use. I'm starting with just 1 plumb bob half, and I'm cutting around it carefully, not forgetting about the little flaps. If you're using double-sided sticky tape, what I do is I cut off thin strips by attaching them to my fingers so I can cut off 4 at a time and still hold 4 of them. Just be careful of cutting your fingers. And then I'm sticking them all the way around the edge of the cutout, not forgetting to put a couple in the middle as well, just so that the middle stays on too. Then I'm peeling off the backing of the double-sided sticky tape and positioning it onto the card and smoothing it down. If you're using glue, just glue it all and stick it down. Next, cut out the plumb bob half again in the same way that you did when it was just the paper, but this time with it attached to the card. Fold along the lines in between where the flaps are, going up to the point, and this is where the type of card that you use comes in handy, because if your card is too thick it'll be too difficult to fold, but you also need it to be quite firm. And don't forget to fold the flappy bits and the end bit. Cut off some more double-sided sticky tape and stick it down the long flap, or just glue it, and bring the 2 pieces together carefully so that the edges line up and you get a neat edge, and use your fingers on the inside to stick it down firmly. Bring the 2 pieces together on top of your head so that they look like a plumb bob, and kind of measure out with your fingers where you would like the plumb bob to cut off so that you can see where it would be entering your head. Mark that with a pencil and then draw a line all the way around the tip of the plumb bob. Then you can start cutting through. I cut just a little way, maybe like a finger's width down from the line that I drew, so that I had a bit to play with. And it might be a bit tricky to cut those lines, but you can do it. Then you can test it on your head again to see if how much you've cut off is enough, and if not, then cut some more off. It turns out that the gap I left between the line and where I actually cut was very handy, because I decided to make this bit flappy. So I cut slits up each fold and bent them over as if they were like the white flaps, so that you can attach it to your head. Test it on your head again. Now that we've cut the tip off and we didn't stick down the whole thing, this won't apply if you've glued it, you can use double-sided sticky tape to stick down the print because it's going to be a bit flappy. Cut some more strips of double-sided sticky tape or use glue and cover the end bit in the strips. I did this on both sides of the plumb bob, but you really only need one side to be covered in the double-sided sticky tape because we're going to be sticking those 2 sides together, as you can see here. I also put double-sided sticky tape on all of the flaps around the edge, and I'm peeling the backing off of that and sticking down each half. Now, another thing that I've realised with hindsight is that it might be better to cut off one of those end bits rather than sticking them together, because it creates quite a thick layer between the 2 halves and you can see it. And also my plumb bob now has come apart a little bit, so it might be better to use something like hot glue instead of double-sided sticky tape for this part, because it's just not strong enough otherwise. Test it one more time if you like. I attached the plumb bob to my head off camera because I was just testing it, but it actually turned out to be quite well fixed to my head. I just used 3 bobby pins and folded out some of those flaps and just attached it to my head. I would suggest trying to cover it up a bit with your hair or with blood so that you can't see those bits. Now I'm using some Mayron Extra Flesh, and I first tried to get it out with the back of a makeup brush, but that didn't quite work. I just decided to go in with my fingers. But it's very important to have makeup remover on your fingers when you're handling this stuff because it is so sticky, like so sticky. So just grab a lump of it, stick it on your head and get moulding. I just stuck bits on there gradually. It doesn't have to be big, just do bit by bit and keep topping up that makeup remover on your fingers and just smooth it out. The aim here is to make it look like the plumb bob is entering your head, so you don't want a seam where you can see where the card stops. Use the fixative to fix it in place. I didn't use enough of this, so it was still very sticky. I powdered it with some translucent powder to get rid of the shine. Then used some pink eyeshadow to make the skin look a bit irritated, blended it out a bit. It went a bit patchy because of the stickiness. I then used a bit of red to make it look a bit darker and tried to blend that out as well. It looked okay in the end, I think. Now onto the blood. I used Mayron's coagulated blood gel, which is a very dark and shiny, wet looking blood gel. It looks like it's wet all the time, and so you can't really touch it whilst you're wearing it, but it looks really realistic. So I just used the little applicator that comes in the pot and chucked some blood on my face. I went all the way around the plumb bob where it was on my face, but you might want to go onto your hair depending on how daring you're feeling and what colour your hair is. I'm not sure whether it stains your hair or not. I only got a tiny bit into my hair, and if you happen to coat one tiny piece of your hair and it flops onto your face like it did to me, just create a blood drip out of it. Just go with it. Just chuck loads of blood on there, coat the area around your head. You can go as gruesome as you like with this.